Hi, I'm Kendall with the Rawls Group. The old African proverb, "it takes a village," illustrates the essential nature of a team approach to succession planning. Succession planning is a complex endeavor. As such, it requires leveraging the expertise of a diversity of backgrounds. Collaboration and different expert opinions provides a 360-degree approach, ensuring the possible, probable, and potential issues impacting your long-term vision are addressed. To provide insight into common questions received from business owners, we are leveraging the village of our valued strategic relationships. As you listen to this episode, you'll be able to immediately apply the key takeaways and you'll come back for more. Now we're going to focus on: what do I do if people want to continue working from home once the shelter in place and lockdowns are over due to COVID-19?
Ultimately, this is a question not about legal issues, but about the culture you want to have for your company and whether you can effectively get your job done working remotely. First, I would encourage every employer to treat the lockdowns as remote working trials and examine how effectively things have worked. We've been forced to go through this process. We may as well learn something from it. Do you feel like you knew what people were working on? Do you know more or less about what they were working on than when everyone was in the office? Were projects getting completed on time, or at least comparably to when people were in the office? Did your technology solutions work well? Are there problems? Are the problems there relatively easy to solve, or do they require large investments of time and money? Were you able to find ways to keep people engaged and connected to their coworkers and to the business? Do you have employees that you trust? Do you have a reason to believe they are substantially less productive at home? I'd like to remind people that there are lots of distractions at work, and there's a whole industry of television shows and movies about how people can get nothing done at work if they want to. Second, I would consider what a more permanent work from home policy would look like for your business. How do you ensure that there is some social engagement between employees? Many times we set regular days, or I've seen businesses set regular days for doing ongoing in-person meetings that people are expected to attend even if they work home from remotely most of the time. Could a person work from home by default, or is it just if they have a good reason? For example, having people work remotely if there's unexpected childcare issues, mild illnesses, or other things like that, you may be able to get more out of employees than if they have to take PTO for those kinds of issues. With respect to COVID, I would encourage everyone to follow the guidance from the CDC and their local public health officials. There's no question that there's more risk in coming in than it's staying at home, both for that employee, but also for you and your business. If you were to have an outbreak at your location, how devastating would that be to your business on a go-forward basis, especially if there's not much marginal benefit of having them in the office at this time? Ultimately, I believe every company is going to be much more flexible and build much more plans for remote work after COVID passes than before, particularly for office and professional workers. Even if you're hesitant, the job market is likely going to build this expectation in, and if you want to recruit the best, brightest, and most capable, which is always hard, this is going to become a new standard and expectation of what they expect out of an employer. So we keep that in mind and think about how you can build a structure that works for you and for those prospective and current employees.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Cardwell, and I'm an HR consulting principal with MCM's HR Solutions Group. As we can all agree, the last several months has definitely changed the work environment. We've faced many new challenges within each of our organizations, including how to continue to work in the middle of a pandemic. Working remotely has been one of the solutions that was quickly implemented by companies, and it's really incredible how many companies who had thought they could never work remotely have had a different mindset. Of course, with any new ways of doing work comes some balance. As we're now starting to come back into the workplace physically, we definitely want to be mindful that not all employees will be receptive to returning to the office right away. It's really important for companies to gather information from their own workforce to understand and gauge what their employees are really looking for. In some cases, people may want to continue working from home once the shelter in place and lockdowns are over. We would suggest you gather as much information as possible directly from your managers and employees. Maybe do a quick poll to understand how many want to continue to work from home and how many want to continue to be able to be flexible with their schedule. Again, it's really hard to predict how people will react, and this will give you a good baseline to work with. Once you have the results of the poll, then speak with your management team to see what impact has there been so far with those that are working remotely. Are there some performance measures that have been working well? What has not been working well? Maybe it's an opportunity to look at a blended schedule for someone. Again, depending on your business and your needs, it's also important to keep in mind that remote work policies may also need to be implemented, since many of us have not had those type of policies in the past, along with a review of current workers' comp policies. That coverage from working from home will be really important for a company to consider. Flexibility today is so critical in the world we're living in, and more employers are being very upfront and sharing any information that they can and next steps to their employees. The easier it will be to retain those key individuals in the company, the more authentic the employer is in sharing their plans.
Well, there's two waves of thought there. The first wave would be maybe they're smarter than you are. Maybe they can do a better job at home. And maybe they can be more efficient. Maybe you don't need to provide the air conditioning, pay rent on an office. You just have to be receptive, be open-minded. I think this environment we're in today is going to create some technological and efficiency advances that we've never seen before. In 2008, everybody thought the world was going to end. What happened? By 2010, we were doing more with less. About 80%, maybe 75% of the employees that were being employed in early 2008 were working in 2010 doing 125% of the work. The same thing's going to happen as a result of this. Now, this question may be part of that answer. So listen, don't just think you got to see this person every day. And maybe you're thinking, well, I don't trust them if they're going to work. Well, if you don't trust them, get rid of them. If you don't trust them, maybe they should be sitting under there. But when you do trust them, trust them. Now, the other part of it is, no, I need my F&I manager here. I need certain people here. And if that's the case, it's not wrong to say no. Just don't say it in a knee-jerk manner like you know best. Listen, talk to your other leaders, your other managers, get their input, and then make the right decision. We're going to come out of this about 25, 30% more efficient, and it's addressing questions just like this is going to help you get there.
Thank you to our strategic partners, The Village, for participating and sharing your perspective. Do you have a burning question you want to discuss with an expert? Feel free to submit it via the Ask an Expert link featured on the page. Continue to listen to the series now or come back later for more. Each question featured may want you to learn something new.